one important aspect is Naxalism and homegrown phenomena, or it has been aided and abetted from outside? The answer is crystal clear. China, Pakistan, ISI is aiding and abetting it. In addition to the China and Pakistan, they are getting external support from an organization called Revolutionary International Movement, which they are trying to spread all over the place. These are some of the countries where China is trying to spread the communist movement, though it is not spreading as much as they want to be, but definitely they are carrying it out as a long-term project for spreading this part of Naxalism. Now, India is a member of this. We'll very briefly talk about Nepal. Nepal has been training Indian Maoists. During the elections in Maharashtra, in the last elections, the Nepal Maoists have actually taken part on certain raids which took place in Maharashtra. They have been giving them arms and ammunition, and also for rest and refit, Indian Maoists have been going into Nepal. So definitely we have to secure the Nepal border. As far as Sri Lanka is concerned, some time back, the back of LTT, which was the most powerful terrorist group in Sri Lanka, was broken. But the effect on Indian Maoists have been that a lot of this LTT cadre, who were past masters in explosives, have come into Naxal areas, and it is today Naxals are also using IEDs, that is improvised explosive devices, in a big way to cause casualties on the security forces. Pakistan has been aiding and abetting them in a very big way. We have spoken of it number of times. Afghanistan also, so the Talibanis have also been found helping the Naxals. China, in any case, is a place from where the Maoists start their ideology with. So even that country has been aiding and abetting them. Bhutan, some of the camps of Northeast insurgents were based here, and as we had said in the earlier part of the presentation, that in 2004 an Operation All Clear was launched against them. Presently there are no militants in Bhutan, but we have to keep a tag. So this is the external factors which have been aiding and abetting Maoists from different countries. Let us talk about the spread of Naxalism in Maharashtra. There are 8 districts in Maharashtra which have been affected by the Maoist ideology. This is the region which borders the Dandakaranya liberated zone. Today there are about 4 to 5 battalions of Central Reserve Police Force, the Central Paramilitary Force, which is come and operating in this area. In addition to this, Maharashtra has its own commando force called the C-60 Commandos, who are doing a good job. In addition to this, there is the SRPF of the Maharashtra Police also goes and carries out anti-Naxal operations in this area. But what is important is that if you want Naxalism to be stopped in Maharashtra, we have to break its back in the entire Dandakaranya liberated zone. Just by carrying out few operations in Maharashtra, the Naxalism here will not come to an end, because this area is geographically contiguous. As far as violence in Maharashtra is concerned, on an average 35 to 40 civilians are getting killed every year. While we are very much concerned about bomb blasts that take place in big cities, we are simply not bothered about the violence which takes place in the forested areas of Gadchiroli. It is said that Gadchiroli today is more like an autonomous region, and the writ of government does not function there. What is required is one very good action that was taken by government of Maharashtra was that the Home Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. R.R. Patil, decided to become a guardian minister of this district. It was a step in a very in the right direction, but the implementation of various government programs in this area has been wanting. Just to name one or two of them, till today, the land reforms which were supposed to be taking place in this area have not been completed. Government had planned to give a patch of forest land to each of these tribals so that they have more land available at their disposal. Even as of now, this land transfer has not taken place. Extortion is still rampant in this area. The security forces which are there in this area are more interested in guarding themselves, and the normal tribals there have been left to themselves. Unless we improve the security environment in this area, we cannot have development here. Otherwise, there's a confusion in the state government policy. They feel that if you pump in a lot of money, possibly Naxalism will disappear from this area. That will not be correct, because more money you pump in, more money is extorted by the Naxals. Till the time the armed wing of the Naxals is broken, development cannot take place in this area. In this part of the presentation, we'll focus on the status of proxy war that has been going on in Jammu and Kashmir since 1984. As I had said earlier, nation building process has been marked by religious fundamentalism, ethnic tensions and economic disparities. Presently, the proxy war in Kashmir is still going on. Maoism is increasing in the central heartland of the country, and ISI is continuing to exploit weaknesses which are existing in our country. Age of terrorism in our country came somewhere in 1993, when the first set of bomb blasts took place in Bombay. Thereafter, it has been continuing at very regular intervals. The cult of suicide bombing started off in India again in late 1990s. The 26/11 attackers who came to Mumbai actually were suicide bombers, because they knew that they will not go alive from the mission for which they had come. Pakistan's intelligence agency ISI is the one who is coordinating and controlling all these activities in India, and their motto is what is given here: governments may change, but ISI will never change its strategy of bleeding India by 1,000 cuts. This is a cartoon which is there on the internet. It talks about a human bomb class in Afghanistan and also in Pakistan. The leader has put explosives around him and the students are watching him. He says, "I will tell you how to press the remote. Watch it carefully, because I can show it only once." 4 major problems from the point of view of internal security are shown here: terrorism or bomb blast or terrorist attack taking place in the rest of India, proxy war which has been going on in Kashmir, Bangladeshization of the northeast India, and Naxalism which is affecting 40% of the country. If you look at statistical data, since 1984, on an average 2 to 2,500 Indians are dying because of various security related issues. If you look at statistically, you will see 377 people have died in Kashmir in 2012. In Northeast India, 800 people have died, and in Naxalism, 998 people have died. So purely from the point of view of statistics of violence, most violent movement today in our country is Naxalism or Maoism, and Northeast India and Kashmir come at always number 2 or 3. If you look at all these problems put together, you will find that a very large part of our country today is affected by internal security problem. This map shows areas where Maoism is going on, where there is a problem in Kashmir, where there is a problem in Northeast. So very large number of such insurgent movements, terrorist movements are going on in this country. Kautilya long time back had said that a country faces 4 types of enemies. First, which is of external origin and internal abatement. That means enemies from outside, his help from inside. Then enemies from inside and help is from outside. Then enemies from outside and his help from outside. And enemy is within the country and is helped by people within the country. And he had said hundreds of years back that enemy which is present inside the country, aided and abetted by people in the country, is the most dangerous, and he is the one who should be tackled first. India today is lucky to have all kinds of enemies. We have insurgencies and terrorism which falls in all the 4 categories which have been shown above. India is also unfortunately located as far as geostrategy is concerned. Today we are surrounded by a neighborhood which is very, very unstable. If any terrorist act takes place anywhere in the country, the roots are either in Pakistan or in Afghanistan. They are the biggest source of terrorism anywhere today in the world. Nepal, we spoke about it briefly, today is politically very unstable, and more number of Kashmiri militants today have infiltrated into India from Nepal than from the Kashmiri border. Bangladesh, we have spoken about it. Today, more than 4 to 5 crore Bangladeshis have infiltrated into our country, and there's a threat to our northeast. Our northeast and West Bengal is likely to be converted into another Bangladesh. Myanmar is a country where insurgents have established their camps where they carry out their training. Below we have Sri Lanka, the LTT, the remnants of LTT today are helping the Nakshals. So in nutshell, the neighborhood also provides help to insurgents and terrorists operating in the country. And this is what Dr. Manmohan Singh had said long time back, that our neighborhood provides the biggest infrastructure as far as terrorism is concerned. Professor Yusuf Polanski was a US Congress leader on terrorism. This is what he says. He says, for Pakistan, a crisis in Kashmir constitutes an excellent outlet for frustration at home as it mobilizes the masses for their Islamic policies. So Kashmir is an unfinished agenda as far as Pakistan is concerned. It will continue to bleed us till the time Pakistan wants it to happen. And there's a law of terrorism which says more blood you spill, more publicity you get. This is one of the convoys in Kashmir which was attacked by the militants, and see the amount of casualties that have been suffered there. Now we'll give a very brief background of how things proceeded in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. If you look at the state of Jammu and Kashmir, what is shown in green today is a part which went to Pakistan at the independence. In fact, Indian Army had reached almost halfway in between up to a place called Muzaffarabad. There, I will point this stuff also. I am Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, who is putting nearly 37 years of service in the Indian Army. I was commissioned into 7th Maratha Light Infantry, one of the famous battalions of Indian Army, in June 1975. During my service, I have taken part on all the operations in which Indian Army participated from 1975 onwards. I have taken part on anti-terrorist operation in Jammu and Kashmir, anti-infiltration operations which Indian Army did again on the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. During the peak of terrorism in Punjab, we were involved in Operation Raksha in Punjab. In addition to this, I have served on the Rajasthan and the other Pakistani, Indo-Pakistan borders. I have served on the Indo-China borders, on the Indo-Myanmar borders. And we have taken part in various operations which took place, including serving in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. For all the action that we did in Kashmir, my battalion was awarded Unit Citation and about 19 gallantry awards. Again, when I was commanding a brigade in Jammu and Kashmir, again a lot of awards were won by my brigade. My last 4 years of my service in the Army, I joined Army War College, where I was teaching officers of the rank of colonels in the higher command course. After my retirement on 31st January 2009, I've been writing very regularly in various newspapers on various facets of national security, both in Marathi and in English. I've been taking part on various debates on the TV channels, in the Marathi TV channels, 24 hours news channels, Hindi TV channels, and also some of the English TV channels. In addition to this, we are taking part in many seminars based upon national security. I'm a member of 2 think tanks, Center for Advanced Strategic Studies based in Pune and Forum for Integrated National Security which is based in Bombay. One is involved in talking on various facets of national security on many talks which are coordinated by various NGOs. For my service in the army, I was awarded Yuddha Seva Medal for the good work that I had done, a Gallantry Award in Kashmir. In addition, I have been awarded Chief of Army Staff's Commendation Card. Swatantra Veer Savarkar Rashtriya Smarak asked me to I am on the working committee of Swatantra Veer Savarkar Rashtriya Smarak, and on their behalf we have produced some films covering various facets of national security. The films include India's external security, that is how we should deal with China and Pakistan. Second is how should we deal with our borders during peacetime with Bangladesh, with Nepal, Myanmar and Sri Lanka. How should we look after the coastal security? We face serious internal security problems. We have covered 4 of these. These are the extent, the Naxalism in our country today is increasing exponentially. How do we counter the threat of Naxalism or Maoism? Kashmir proxy war is still going on. What else can we do in Kashmir? Northeast India is being converted into a Bangladesh. How do we meet the challenge of stopping Bangladeshization of Northeast? And how do we stop bomb blasts that are taking place in the rest of the country? All these films are in English. One film is in Marathi, in which we have spoken as to how do we take on the challenge of the Chinese dragon. In addition, there is one film on motivation. One young soldier, Lieutenant Vijayan Thapar, how he sacrificed his life. It's a film which will motivate the younger generation. I am sure that you will enjoy listening to these films, and you should pass it on to, you should pass on the contents of these videos to as many friends and relations as possible, so that the spirit of national security is imbibed by every citizen of the country. Jai Hind.